What up guys, welcome to my Dracthyr Evoker Destruction PvP guide. In this guide I will introduce you to the new Evoker class and I'll show you how to apply my favorite build in the arena. Hope you enjoy. First you need a talent build that looks somewhat like this. This is my favorite build at the moment. I've tried many different combinations and I landed on this one. This build has the highest functional single target DPS an Evoker can do, and it happens to be quite fun as well. With this build, you never have to cast, your main damage comes from Disintegrate, which is a channeled ability, and from Scintillation procs. So let's start with the basics. You have 6 Essence, these work like Death Knight runes, and you want to spend them on Disintegrate. You will never use Fayr in PvP. With this build there is no situation where this would be better than Disintegrate, ever. So you can just leave this one out of the action bars. Also Living Flame, which you might see a lot of evokers spamming. Well, even though everyone is spamming this, what I found out is that the time it takes to cast this, you get at least 2 Azure Strikes off, and since every evoker has Azure Essence Burst on their talent tree, this will give you a higher chance of getting Essence Bursts instead of casting just one Living Flame. With that said, you disintegrate to deplete essence and you use Azure Strike as a filler. After this you have 2 big burst abilities which work as a hold button type of channel, and those are Eternity Surge and Fire Breath. You will be using Fire Breath whenever you can get the cast off. We are not using a build that empowers this or that evolves Fire Breath in a spell synergy, and then we have Eternity Surge, which will make our short cooldown burst possible. For that we will be using Shattering Star, which increases the damage taken by the target by 20%, and on top of all that we will have Iridescence, which will make your next 2 disintegrates after using Eternity Surge do 15% extra damage. And that burst will look like this. You will use Eternity Surge into Shattering Star into 2 disintegrates. Overcharging your Eternity Surge won't increase single target damage, so release this as soon as you get to the first stage. Unravel is just damage to shields, and the only reason I picked it is because Oppressing Roar only increases crowd control by 20% in PvP instead of the 50% it says here, and we need to pick up Terror of the Skies anyways. Now Deep Breath. This is a high mobility, high damage AoE stun skill. It also breaks you out of roots and makes you immune to movement impairing effects while flying. This is incredibly powerful as it allows you to both reposition and set up your previous burst windows. It also allows you to stick to a healer and CC chain him while you burst down an enemy DPS. Now that you know your short burst abilities, let's talk about the big one, Dragonrage. You will be using Dragonrage to instantly generate Essence Bursts with Azure Strike. Those Essence Bursts will allow you to chain disintegrates one after the other, giving you a very high DPS that will pressure the enemy team into using defensives. With that said, your big burst will look somewhat like this. You will first disintegrate to deplete all your essence, and you do that because during Dragonrage we will be creating Essence Bursts with Azure Strike, and that will allow you to regenerate all your essence while you are bursting. So you disintegrate until you have no essence, then you Dragonrage into 2 Azure Strikes to again grant you 2 Essence Burst stacks. After that you Eternity Surge to gain your Iridescence proc, then you Shattering Star to increase the target's damage taken. After that you spend your 2 Essence Bursts on disintegrates, and you just keep alternating between Azure Strike and Disintegrate until Dragonrage runs off. All of that put together will look somewhat like this. You will notice that I didn't mention Tip the Scales. And that's because, as I said earlier, this build isn't focused around Fire Breath, which is the only skill you will want to use Tip the Scales on. With that said, just use Tip the Scales on Fire Breath whenever you see fit. Now to your defensives. Obsidian Scales reduces your damage taken by 30%. However, this ability can be used offensively thanks to the PvP talent Obsidian Metal, which makes you immune to interrupts for the entire duration. That means that for 12 seconds you can free cast your Disintegrate without getting interrupted. After that, we have Renewing Blaze on a 1 minute cooldown. What this does is make all the damage you take be regenerated over 8 seconds. This is incredibly powerful, and on such a short cooldown, make use of it. After that, we have the PvP talent Nullifying Shroud. This ability is unbelievably overpowered. This is making Evoker healers incredibly hard to deal with, and of course Destruction Evoker also benefits from this. The buff lasts for 30 seconds, so feel free to use it at the start of the arena to make you an unstoppable force over a long duration. Then we have Time Spiral. This gives you and your teammates one use of one of your mobility skills. In your case, this will give you one hover. Then you have Emerald Blossom. This is just an instant cast heal that will heal again, that will heal you and your teammates again if you are within the range of the ability after 2 seconds. Then we have the very fun ability Rescue. With this ability you target a teammate and then you select the desired location where you want to take him to. This paired with the talent Twin Guardian gives you amazing utility, and this can very well save you the game. And now all there is left to talk about is your crowd control. Sleepwalk is your Fayr-like ability that you will be spamming every 15 seconds on your cross CC target. Usually you'll be using this on a healer, while you and your teammate are killing a DPS. Quell is your ranged interrupt. Tail Swipe is an AoE knock-up. Wing Buffet is a powerful AoE knockback. Landslide is a 40-yard long-range instant cast route. And lastly, Deep Breath, which we already talked about in the DPS rotation. This ability, as I said earlier, is an AoE stun with 50-yard range. Evokers can create a really long CC chain all by themselves. And the cool thing is, it doesn't need to follow an order. You can use the skills as needed, and the CC chain will have the same duration. An example would be to Sleepwalk, into Tail Swipe as a knock-up, into a knockback, into a Deep Breath. And as you can see, at the end of all this, as soon as the target gets out of Deep Breath stun, you can sleepwalk them again. This is one of the longest and most versatile CC chains in the game, and remember that you can do all this while you have Over active, which means that you can do all this on the run, making it incredibly difficult to stop. Needless to say that all your DPS rotation, excluding Eternity Surge and Fire Breath, can also be used while hovering around the map. I forgot to talk about Cauterizing Flame, an incredibly powerful utility ability that will remove most, if not all, debuffs from you or your target, and healing for quite a bit on top of that. Now remember that all this is just a build. I heavily encourage you to try out every single talent and see what you like the best, especially the PvP talents, because there's talents like Chrono Loop, which can be really powerful if played at the right time, and Time Stop that can save you the game altogether. There is also Swoop Up, which is the counterpart of Rescue, and this will allow you to grab an enemy and get him, for example, behind line of sight, making it impossible for the healer to heal him, or you can directly grab the healer and get him out of range. Now there are a few useful macros that will make your gameplay more fluid. All of these will be in the description below. The first macro will make Deep Breath instantly cast on your cursor. The second macro will make landslide cast on your cursor. And the last one is the classic Crossy Sea Arena macro. Also, don't forget to keep your Blessing of Bronze active at all times, as this buff boosts both yours and your teammates' mobility by quite a bit. And that's it, guys, you are now ready to become Dracthyr and conquer Azeroth. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the arena.